Sportskeeda! Sportskeeda! Yeah! Sting retired. That's the big story coming out of AEW. Oh, and we have our Hall of Fame induction for this year's WrestleMania, the big one, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We're going all around the dial. We'll have your comments up on screen. If this is your first time with Rings and Rambles, Sportskeeda Wrestling, do not make it the last time. I'm Kevin, Nick over there in California, and then on the other side of the country, we're hitting all three coasts. All right, I'm in Chicago. Nick's over in Sacktown. And then we got Pratik, who's on a Greyhound bus somewhere in the greater Carolina area. Comedian Pratik Savastava. He's from the Gimmick Street podcast. Him and I are going to be doing the WrestleMania thing together. He was at Greensboro last night for this very big momentous thing, Sting retiring. AEW had a big rollout for it. I know you got the wonky connection, Teak. I want to get to you quickly here before we sign off. We get to all the big news and get fans' comments on screen. What was it like being in there for Sting's last match? Big rollout, huge triumphant entrance, and big ending for him winning with his sons.
There's a surprise of his son showing up as, the different versions of Sting. I think the crowd really popped for it. I think they rolled out the red carpet for him again. It was a historic arena. I mean, there were people from all over the world. A lot of people came. UK also came for Ospreay. It was a feel-good night of wrestling. A lot of local people. A lot of people flew in or drove in Florida. I saw
RoboCop? I heard a RoboCop entrance in there. Tiki, I'm losing you. I'm going to give you the too sweet. All right. Got to love a Greyhound bus. Tiki, I'm losing you. I'll let you go, buddy. I'll let you go, but I appreciate you calling in. I was hoping we could hold up longer. But I'll pull Tiki out of there, and I'll get my banner changed here in a minute. But you got to see the whole show. I got to see the last chunk of it. I had all the family obligations and all those different things going on. What did you think of this whole show? Is that we're zipping around here, all the different overlays here. You're not Bill.
There we go.
You're Nick. Tell me about AEW Revolution. What did you think of it, man?
I liked it. I enjoyed the show. I thought it was exciting. I thought it delivered. A lot of big time spots throughout the night. And I just thought it was overall enjoyable. And yeah, there was a title change. It hit all the spots. It was good. Big time pay-per-view. I enjoyed it.
And for AEW, I think they needed this. They needed the really big bump. They needed something that felt special, that felt like it was connected to wrestling culture in general. And it makes them feel like less of a young company, because for a real, there's still, the thing to think about, this is still a 5-year-old company. It has 5 years of history. For someone who's 15, that doesn't feel like it's that long. For someone who's in their 20s, that doesn't feel like it's that long. But you connect it, and mind you, a lot of their audience is guys who are in their 20s and 30s and 40s, right? And Sting's a guy they care about growing up. So it kind of bridges that gap. If you're a young wrestling fan, Sting's a big deal. Like you may not love him, you may not have that same connection with him, but you get it. You know what I mean? You understand what he's trying to do. And people saying, "Can I say your name?" Michael Goodmate, I'm saying your name. There we go. Let me know what you guys think. People saying he's legendary. I agree. So this is a big momentous occasion for everything going on here. Oh, Teek's calling me. Hang on, Tiki, how you doing? Teek, I lost you. Can you hear me? It's all right. I'll let you go, buddy. I gotta keep going on with the show. I'll talk to you, okay? All right.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love him. People think he should have won the world title. Look at this.
Swerve.
Revolution was great. Swerve should have won the world title. We'll talk about that. But tell me more about this big closing match. Sting, Darby Allin, with Sting's sons basically playing the cosplaying parts, smashing glass, all these different things. They used all of the Gaga in this match, over 30 minutes. So this is what they've been doing with Sting for the better part of 3 years. This is a 65-year-old man who can go as a 65-year-old man can do. They opened with the Stinger splashes. They broke glass. They went through tables. The Young Bucks bumped their asses off and played the heels. And Sting and Darby triumphant with their sons playing a role. What do you think of those closing moments, though, too? I love the match. If you want it to be someone's last match who can't physically do the things they did before and not do a singles match, they got as much out of this as they possibly could. I know I went off a couple weeks ago with you about the build to this, but it felt big time. The rollout, the movie, him watching a movie of his career, and like it felt special. They did a really, really good job on this.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. I thought the match was awesome, from bell to bell. And Darby Allin took a huge bump, and I think that Sting did a great job of covering a lot of time there, because I think Darby probably was, he was actually cut up pretty bad there from going through the glass in those chairs.
He also went through a table off the stage.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, we're forgetting that.
Yeah. And Sting taking those big time bumps going through tables too, you know it was going to happen. He had to go out with a bang for his last match, and that he did. And I was surprised to see that he actually won, though, because for a lot of these guys' last matches, they'll like hand over the throne or they'll lose, they'll go out losing. And but I like
right by the business. You go out on your back looking at the lights, you do right, because someone's going to be there wrestling after you are.
Yeah, but I thought it was still great, and I thought that they did Sting justice, and it was cool to see him win his last match rather than lose it this time. So
one thing I kind of caught on commentary was them pushing the idea that Sting is undefeated in AEW, that they've only had him he's only done the tag team matches, and he's never lost.
Yeah,
and they kept pushing that and pushing that and pushing that. And then immediately the narrative around it, I heard from like the AEW purist fan, which is fine because this is a big night for you, was WWE never gave him a big win. He never got to win like a significant match. And that very short run that he was there, mind you, he came in there when he was in his late 50s. He was only going to do a handful of matches, just like he did in AEW.
Right.
He did a lot more wrestling in AEW than I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And so this is a wild one. I caught some of the media scrum, but they've alluded to him having some type of role in AEW beyond this event, even though this was like his last wrestling match. But he also said at the same time he doesn't want to be an agent or a producer.
Right. Like, so what do you want to do, Sting? I mean, I still see him playing a role, and honestly, he said this is his last match, but if he's going to stick around the company, he's going to get back in that ring at some point. I mean, maybe not a match, but he's going to take a
like
bump
Flair.
here and then. Yeah,
he's
like
going to hit somebody with a baseball bat.
Yeah, something. He's gonna stick around. He's got to play a role in some way or another.
Nick bringing up this comment here. Thank you, Nick. You support the streams quite a bit. I want to hear from fans. What did you think of AEW Revolution? If you caught it, if you didn't catch it, if you didn't watch it, I still want to hear what you think. If you're just following the news of this too. I know there's some people that just don't catch a pay-per-view and they just want to know what happened too. That's okay. You're still a wrestling fan. Why couldn't AEW have their pay-per-views on Saturday nights? But since it's on a Sunday, why not start earlier time? It's ridiculous. I think you mean it's ridiculous. Well, I mean, I think we've kind of been conditioned by WWE making this move with their events to Saturday nights. And they've been that way now for a couple of years. And I remember thinking like that was a really controversial thing to do because you're changing the way people watch your shows. But with the streaming service, it's a completely different thing. I think with a pay-per-view, because this was still on pay-per-view, this was still $50. I put the $50 over and I didn't even watch the whole show, right? And you got to get it through PR Live and you got to go through all, $50 and you got to set it up. You got to make this isn't just like 2 clicks and you're watching it,
Right.
I do think that kind of changes the game, for AEW. The more they get into these big pay-per-view events, they announced another one here coming up April 21st. So that's, less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing another pay-per-view, depending on where you are. Mostly it's going to be $50 from St. Louis. Big wrestling town. They haven't done enough there. I heard they were going to run Peoria that afternoon. Peoria is about 3 hours from Chicago. I was like, that would be an odd choice.
Yeah.
Kind of like a sea town. And I don't mean to rip on anyone in Peoria. But I was like, that's kind of are you just trying to cut the middle between Milwaukee and Chicago or St. Louis and Chicago? Kerry Carpenter, it's kind of ridiculous that Sting retired and then the tag team titles are vacated. Yes, they're going to do like a short mini tournament to crown the tag team champions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. I think they wanted to have Sting go out triumphant. They wanted to have Sting win his match, and to do that, they put the titles on him on the way out. They wanted to give Sting everything they possibly could with all of the limitations he might have. And he had some that you saw in the ring, but you see him work around those limitations. He wore the full long sleeves, all these different things. So then you have to build it up. And maybe it's a little bit overcompensation in terms of just like presentation. But I don't think the fans who sold out that arena cared. They wanted to see him have a title at the end of the night. He got one. Him and Darby kind of now retire as champions, or at least they end as champions. That's fun. Darby feels like a bigger star coming out of this match. He should feel like a bigger star coming out of this match. Guess what? the Young Bucks feel like bigger stars coming out of this match. Everybody wins. Maybe Sting's sons, who are, I think, in their 30s, are going to, finally start, getting into the wrestling business.
That'd be cool.
Jesse Hyde talking about the Hall of Fame class. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But let's hit some other big news and notes here from AEW Revolution. Slam the like button. Want to hear from you guys. We're talking WWE Hall of Fame here in just a minute. Thanks for watching. If you guys are watching for the first time, turn those notifications wherever you are watching, wherever you're listening. I know we have people on the podcast side of things. Want to hear from you. Nick, you got to catch most of the card. What were the standouts on AEW Revolution for you in terms of other big matches and moments? Because I heard some people saying, the build to pay-per-view sometimes for them is wonky week to week, but you leave a pay-per-view with, I think, a pretty good smile on your face with the show overall.
Oh yeah, I mean the Ospreay match. I mean that was just insane. Both guys went crazy. Both guys got their spots to shine. And Will Ospreay came away with the victory. But I also like the title match with Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, and Swerve Strickland. I thought that one delivered as well. And the whole night, honestly, they started off well with the Christian Cage match, and he retained. I thought Daniel Garcia, he had his moments and really looked well throughout the match. And it was a great way to start off the
You got to protect some of the bad guys. Some of the heels going. You can't just have feel good moments the whole night long. You know what I mean? You got to. So I get where they want to maybe start the night that way. And Christian's still very over with this entire. Your dad's dead gimmick.
Yeah. And of course he had his goons, the patriarchy. They had to interfere and. For him to win the match and whatnot. But overall, I thought it was a great card from start to finish, and it really delivered. They only did one women's match, but it was good. And but for the most part, great card from top to bottom.
So Swerve Strickland was in this big triple threat with him and Hangman Page challenging Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe able to get out of there with the title. Pretty good match. I don't think as great as maybe some people were expecting with the Swerve this week, with Hangman kind of telling you there was an injury and then just using it to kind of like lay out Swerve. And it struck me more as Swerve and Hangman getting in each other's way, and Joe was able to get out with the title, which is a fair story.
Right.
But I was expecting just a little bit more. Not saying it's certainly not a bad match, but I was just expecting a little bit more in the tank from this.
Yeah, definitely. And, we got Robert down here saying that he thinks that Swerve should have won. I agree, and Swerve had his opportunities, but him and Hangman Adam Page kept focusing on each other instead of what the task at hand. And but it's going to build up for something, that they're obviously going to face each other one-on-one here soon, I think, again, and it'll be a great match. But Swerve definitely was over in the match. If he would have won, I think it would have been a huge pop. But of course, that's not the way it went, and Samoa Joe comes out victorious.
And some people giving it a 9, so they're really, really happy with it. Want to hear your take. And I've heard just, the way they treated Sting, the way the match was pulled off. Is it the best match of the year? No, I don't think it needs to be. It needs to be a very fun match that protects him, makes him feel like a big star. Thank you for a great career. I get to go out on top. And that's what you got. You know what I mean? Like, they hit the points. It felt momentous. Jim Ross on commentary, the feeling in this room, and you could feel it when he came out. They paid for Metallica, dude. They paid a lot of money for Metallica. It's probably the most expensive thing they spent on the night. So let's get into the other big news here, though. Coming out of this, we're in WrestleMania season. WrestleMania less than 2 months away. WWE really dialing some things in here. We kind of know what our main events are going to be.
Oh yeah,
this was set up on SmackDown in a 30-minute promo on a 2-hour TV show.
Hey.
It is The Rock. Anytime people anytime people get really mad about this, I'm like, it is The Rock. So are we getting a tag team main event with The Rock? Yes, it looks like that is indeed what we're going to get. The Rock will be in the ring. We knew this was coming, but how was the big question. Night 1, it'll be Rollins, the world heavyweight champion, who's been told he's the B champion. Go over to the other table. We're the ones, you're the twos, all that stuff. So Seth Rollins got a chip on his shoulder. Seth Rollins also supposed to defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, so he'll be pulling double duty against Drew McIntyre. Likely that match will now land on night 2. All right. So night 1 will be headlined by Rollins and Cody Rhodes challenging Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship night 2. But Rollins and Cody taking on the Bloodline and The Rock and Roman Reigns on night 1. And if the Bloodline wins, the World Championship match between Cody and Roman Night 2 is under Bloodline rules, which I think just means we get to interfere as much as we like. But I don't know exactly what that is. But they've done didn't they do a Bloodline match before? Am I wrong? Did they do like something like that before?
They've done something in the past. Yeah, definitely.
I'm recalling it. This promo was wild. Rock is on it. Rock is so captivating in these promos. I think he is reminding everyone. I think he's really enjoying being a heel. I think he's really enjoying it. And he had some really filthy lines in this that were really dirty. He really tested the limits of network television. But also, I think he's the guy who can do it. There were some people saying he visited Balco, which is a big steroid scandal thing, whatever. And then there were people saying "Die Rocky Die," which was a chant that happened back in the 90s. So there's some really hardcore wrestling fans out there that remember "Die Rocky Die." And so they were blacking this out. There was pauses on different Fox affiliates throughout the country because it's on Fox network television, broadcast television, where the regulations of what you can and can't say are kind of a little bit more stern, especially during prime time. So I heard a lot of people talking about this, but controversy creates cash, gets people talking, right?
Definitely.
What do you think of this? Do you think? I know some people think having Cody and Roman even get in the ring together is a bad idea. I've heard some people really oppose this. Maybe you just should have done Cody versus Rock night 1, and that. But I think wild Gaga match, a lot of interference. Keep it there, and then night 2, it's Cody and Roman, just 1-on-1. Don't get them away from all of that noise. Do the big noisy match night 1. I'm okay with that. But I want it to be as great as it's supposed to be because I still feel like the build's there. The fever pitch. You hear the reactions, right? I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I love it. I think it's going to be a great match. I see the argument there with Cody and Roman getting in the ring night 1 and then having to face each other again night 2. But I think they'll do enough to keep them away from each other. And like you said, they're going to do all the craziness, the Gaga, the shenanigans on night 1. And then hopefully Cody and Seth can win and get the Bloodline out of there for night 2. But I like it. I love the Rock's promo. I don't care how long it was. I've talked to, a lot of my friends about this, and they're back. They're back into wrestling like big time right now because of the Rock.
And they're casual fans.
Yeah, and they're casual, but they've been watching each week to see, and they're asking me, is Rock going to be on tonight? And then, I told them the schedule that he's going to be there, and they're like, oh, I'm watching for sure. And they loved everything that he had to say about the Arizona crowd and whatnot. Vintage Rock, the cactus loving crackheads, and all. Excuse me. That was the Rock word, the Rock's words, not me. That was the Rocks. I love Arizona, but yeah, it was crazy, and I love it. I'm here for it all.
Kerry Carpenter saying the Rock is going to turn on Roman Reigns. Check out this. Everyone keeps bringing this up. This is because he does the one. Everyone says you're supposed to point to the ceiling when we're all a big group. We're the Bloodline. We all point to the ceiling and put your thumb over your index finger. But the Rock keeps doing this where his thumb is out, and people think that's the big clue. Well, that's the clue. Am I sorry? Where my immediate reaction to people talking about that was, what are you even? I love your passion because that's passion. You're looking for little clues, just like people love looking for the QR code thing they did with Bray Wyatt and stuff like that. They love looking for clues, things in the background. That just like Marvel fans love like the post-show screens and like the little tiny things that are like a hint. Like they love that. The most diehard fans. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, they did show Paul Heyman was staring at The Rock doing that this week, and then The Rock eventually did close it by the end. So I don't know what that means. Yeah, he did that. He went from here to here.
They did do the hint, though, of the Bloodline coming out, and Roman was not happy that the crowd was not acknowledging him.
Yeah.
He did not feel like they were acknowledging him. And so this was a wild circumstance here where Heyman goes, no, The Rock will come out. Like Heyman had to tell him, it's okay. The Rocks can come out. Which is such like the Roman playing. No, on, dude.
Right.
Like, I'm still tribal chief.
Oh man.
Oh, he gets to be high chief, and then I'm tribal chief.
Right.
There's only one
Oh,
chief.
it's great. It's
Like
great.
they're already building to it. It'll be. I'm for it. Kim Gray, how you doing? Shout out to Bo. Shout out to Kim Gray. Been with me for years, following the streams,
Nice.
loving the wrestling dreams. Love it. I saw a great post from Kim this weekend about meeting Sting with her son and everything like that, and she's been watching the podcast and stuff I've been doing for years. And I thought it was really, really sweet because a lot of people had emotions about this. But back on the topic of what's going on here with WWE. And they say, and remember Solo to sing the national anthem. Well, that's what Solo Sikoa is going to do at WrestleMania. He's going to sing the national anthem.
That was hilarious.
Kevin O'Farrell saying, why have both main titles go on the same night? You're talking about the men's world titles. Well, I think because they're going to have probably maybe a bigger women's match on night one, possibly as well. And I'm okay with that. I do think it is odd to have both world titles on one show. But I mean, if you had a single night pay-per-view, you would put both world titles on one show.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like we're in the weeds there. You know what I mean? Like we can get lost in the weeds there. Here we go. Keith, sir. So Cody Rhodes is still the guy going into WrestleMania. Kevin Nick, is there any chance Dustin Rhodes shows up at Mania to help or support Cody? I'm going to say no. I know a lot of people have asked me about this. I've gotten this from a few fans, especially since it was clear that Cody's getting the main event at WrestleMania again. And they're going to have so much of Roman's family, so much of Roman's legitimate tribe. I'm meaning that, you know?
Yeah.
And who's going to be the backup for Cody? Cody can't just go out there with Rollins. He's got to have someone else. And this is like a convergence of multiple forces. I'm hearing all the different speculation. Who is Cody's backup? Who is Cody Rhodes' backup? Who is Cody's backup for Mania? And I don't think Rollins is there to support him at the end of the night. I think Rollins gets laid out. Rollins is not leaving Philadelphia as World Heavyweight Champion. I think Drew's going to get that title from him, or someone's going to cash in on him.
Oh,
Damian Priest.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things here. Deal will be made by Bloodline and Paul Heyman. Hey, can you take care of this Rollins issue for us? You know, like we got a lot going on. All right, it's going to take 8 of us to beat up Cody. So can the 4 of you go get Rollins?
You're definitely on to something there. No, I agree.
I think this is where CM Punk gets involved. I think this is where you could have multiple people get involved. I could pick up this candle. I could pick up this candle right now, this glass candle, and I can shatter the glass.
There you
glass
go.
Breaking.
I would love that.
Glass breaking.
I would love it.
Oh, hell yeah. You know, good son of a bitch. Paul Heyman. You can't sell out a bingo hall, but I'll put my boot in your ass. Rock, your eyebrows going to be raised because my fist is in it. Like, oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out just at ringside. Maybe it overshadows Cody, you know?
Yeah.
But if you have him come out in his own segment separate from the match early on in the night, and he makes it clear, I'm going to be in the back. This shit's done. Like no one is Heyman, you're not getting out the ring. Roman, you are going out to the ring by yourself. If Roman walks out by himself at WrestleMania, he is not leaving with the championship. I'm saying this. Everyone can tell me I'm dead wrong. Maybe they're going to swerve me, but the tide is coming in. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it is red, white, and blue. All right. Cody is riding it with his dog on a surfboard. All right. That is what's going on. I want to hear from you guys here. Oh, yeah. People are with me on the 316. I know. Yeah. People think Rollins will turn on Cody. There's so many possibilities, right, Nick?
Oh, it could go a ton of different ways, and I love it. You know, that's what's keeping us intrigued right now. But I really like what you said with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, if he were to come out, by God, it would go insane. That'd be a huge pop. But like I said, or not like I said, like you said, I think that they would need to separate it from the main match. He couldn't come out during that match because it would kind of overshadow Cody. But yeah, if Bloodline is not available there for Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania, I have to go with you there. I think that Cody Rhodes is going to come out victorious, and it is finally going to be the day that we see Roman Reigns lose.
Frank Carter telling me that I'm a mealy mouth bastard. That's a deep cut. That's like an Austin deep cut. Everyone says whoop ass and that, but when he would call people mealy mouth bastards, that is so Texas. I only hear people in Texas say that. I love that term. He says Becky and Rhea should headline night one. Of course, Becky Lynch taking on Rhea Ripley. That is the set match for the WWE World Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that match needs a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
To get that spot. But I know fans of women's wrestling may not hearing this. Bill Apter told me he thinks it's very possible the women get to close out one of those nights.
Cool.
It would certainly be a sign from the new WWE management, like, hey, we are definitely supporting women's wrestling as a prominent thing. And I don't think they've done anything to give me the impression that they're not. Brandon Edwards, how about this? Rock pins Cody night one. No. No. If anyone gets pinned on the Cody Rollins team, it is Rollins. Roman loses to Cody on night two. No. Bloodline splits into two groups. New family members added. Chooses sides. Bloodline Civil Raw. Rock versus Roman. WrestleMania 41. You can do the Bloodline Civil War thing, which they've done once.
Yeah.
But it does not need the title. That's the thing here. The championship doesn't need to stay in that issue. What needs to stay in that issue is the idea of clearing it and making it 1-on-1. All right. This is when you cut out the noise, night one, and you make it clear that this is just going to be Cody taking on Roman with no other outside elements. The tone shifts, the silence gets it louder, right?
Yeah.
And the hint that it's there. You know what I mean? You're gonna see Mighty Mac do the punch out. You're gonna see the comeback here. And I think that's much more important. Everything you're talking about is great as well.
Yeah.
And those issues can happen right after the match. You can make it clear on social. You can do that on a post-show press conference. You know what I mean? You could do that the way they got the kickoff thing going, where Rock understands the value of that. You can do that in 2024 and have it mean just as much as it would, as it would if it was on television, right? You look at the social media numbers; they're through the goddamn roof, right? So, all of those things you can do. Rock is going to help this match feel even bigger. He's going to make Roman feel like a big star when he loses this historic title. Roman's not going to feel like less of a star when he loses his belt. For all the Roman loyalists, he's not going to be buried. How many people are going to be overusing that word? How many people are going to be abusing the word buried?
Oh, my goodness.
Man. Yeah. People
not looking forward to it.
You're not looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the title change, but not so much.
Mimi's saying Rhea winning for sure. Yeah, Rhea's very over. I can see Becky Lynch taking the loss on that one here.
Yeah.
And other people chiming in here with different takes here. We're doing pretty good. How you doing, Nick? You doing pretty good? Johan?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
you're good. What's up, Johan?
Yeah. And Kerry Carpenter saying, when you hear the glass, it's your ass.
Yes.
People saying even if he has the bloodline with him, he's still going to lose. Steve Sir, Tamatonga factor intrigues me. Yes, since we were on air, reportedly big veteran for over 14 years with New Japan Pro Wrestling, someone who is related to the bloodline through the Tongan connection of the general Polynesian dynasty of pro wrestling. There's a lot of people I know that hinted at that. There are other players there. I just cut a video about how Nia Jax would be a great female member of Bloodline. Trinity Fatu, Naomi, she's married into the Bloodline. She's married to Jimmy, who's in the Bloodline, not Jay. So there's that. There's a lot of other abilities and factors and things I think you can do post WrestleMania that are there. So all those things you're telling me about are all post WrestleMania. That just feels like real post WrestleMania. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree. And you can kind of see it right now, with the Rock's promo and then Roman Reigns afterwards, making him acknowledge him and all this stuff. It's building up to something after WrestleMania as well between those two. And we're going to see it. And I'm excited for it. But first, we got to get to WrestleMania first.
Back to Mimi Banks. Me. I feel everyone knows Cody and Seth might win night one. But on night two, the bloodline will get involved, and either Seth comes in and helps Cody in night 2 against the Bloodline, or Roman retains. Wow, a lot of possibilities there. I think we get a little bit of that WrestleMania 30 vibes with Daniel Bryan. He gets to beat the big boss, The Rock. He gets to beat the evil champion, Roman Reigns. He gets to do it in 2 nights. Triumph.
Yeah.
One for the good guys. All right. As I said on last week's show, predictability in wrestling is not a sin. All right. How you get there is what you worry about it being predictable. The swerves and the twists and the turns on the roller coaster. That's the ride. Shut up and let me take you on a ride. That's what Rock is saying. Right? People saying, how about Rock versus Roman at SummerSlam? See, look, we're already thinking past WrestleMania here.
Yeah.
I don't mind that here.
That'd be a big SummerSlam.
Yeah. Mimi goes, whole time they pull another Drew and another cousin from the bloodline comes in. How many cousins do they have? Yeah, they did do that. They did that to him. Let's talk about this. This is a big one. Oh man. This is crazy. Paul Heyman is going to go in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes.
This was announced today, announced by the Associated Press. I saw some people comment on this earlier. I'm going to try and pull up that comment about some people. Initial reactions I thought would be a majority are positive, but there was a loud minority, loud enough, saying that he shouldn't be the first choice. Oh yeah, he should go in, but this is always the thing with the Hall of Fame, right? This person should go in before him. This person should go in before him. That person should go in before him. How come my favorite isn't in? And you always get to that. And I don't mind having a conversation, but there's even yesterday, like I want to say Saturday or Sunday, people are like, how have they not announced someone yet?
Yeah.
And so here we are. We're going to be in Philadelphia, the spiritual home of Extreme Championship Wrestling, which in the 90s changed the business. There is no Attitude Era without ECW. And bigger companies in WCW and WWE, which had a bigger budget and bigger things to utilize that type of attitude, they were able to run with it. They were able to do ECW with a bigger budget and maybe even some different wrestlers, right? But Heyman's involvement in wrestling since, he's Ruthless Aggression Era, and he's the biggest guy with that. There's no CM Punk in WWE, I think, creatively without him. The things he did with Brock Lesnar, the biggest moments in the last 10 or 20 years. If you're just a younger wrestling fan, he's your Bobby Heenan. He's got to be like one of the best wrestling managers of all time. If he never was a booker, do you think you'd still go in just as a manager?
Oh, definitely. 100%. I mean, he's earned that. I would, me even seeing Bobby Heenan and all the great managers of back in the day, I would put him up there in the top tier of managers. Definitely, I would put him in the Hall of Fame for just being a manager.
Want to know what other names you guys want to see inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame this year? Of course, they're going to be doing this tied to SmackDown. SmackDown will go on the night before night 1 of WrestleMania. This will be at the Wells Fargo Arena, if I'm correct, right next to Lincoln Financial Field, the big stadium. So you get everything close to each other. I went to the Hall of Fame last year. I kind of wish it was in a theater. I kind of wish it was in a more formal presentation. And I'm not saying I don't like wrestling fans chanting things, but this is a thing where you go and the whole stage is filled with people dressed like this is a formal event.
Yeah.
I went to the one for The Undertaker, and that was awesome. You had 13,000 people, but there was chants and different things. I don't mind chanting, but I just want the tone of it to be a little bit more serious. I don't mind the lighthearted stuff. Like some people come out and they do a little bit of their gimmick, and then it's a kiss to the fans, I don't mind that, but I just wish it was a little bit more serious. Paul Heyman, though, he's going to cut the biggest shoot promo of all time. I think this is up there with The Undertaker. When he went in, he spoke for like an hour. It was he put on a one-man show, and then eventually he started doing that. Paul Heyman's done this already. He's done the one-man show thing and toured with it in between WWE deals and stuff like that. How excited are you for what he's going to say? Because he's going to say a lot. This guy goes back to the 80s. He broke into the 80s when he was a teenager.
I mean, I'm definitely tuning in, and the night that it happens, sometimes I'll catch the Hall of Fame inductions, a few days afterwards, or maybe the next week or whatnot. But I'm definitely tuning in the night of just to see what Paul Heyman has to say, because it's going to be great. And because he's great with the microphone. I mean, that's what he does. I mean, he's done a ton of other things, but that's what he does now. And he's a machine.
David Trox saying Heyman deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I don't think that there's any doubt to that. Sometimes you have those Hall of Fame inductions and people are like, oh, they weren't a world champion or they weren't a headliner. I was like, well, you can't. That isn't the point, though. I don't think it's subjective. This isn't like stats, I think it's more your impression on a career because this is still entertainment. Dennis saying Paul Heyman is the GOAT. Yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest talkers of all time. Dennis D. Clark also saying top 3 managers. Number 1, Paul Heyman, Paul Ellering, J.J. Dillon. Hey, you're missing Bobby Heenan there. You're missing Bobby Heenan in that list. You got to get Bobby Heenan there. Bobby the Brain. You want to talk about, have you ever seen Bobby the Brain Heenan's Hall of Fame speech?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You seen that?
Yes, man. Oh, my goodness.
One of the best. It's hilarious. One of the most funny wrestling moments of all time, probably.
He was just enjoying himself the whole time. You could tell.
Oh, and he had this great act. He had this incredible act that he had planned out for it. And it was emotional. He talked about missing Gorilla Monsoon. It was great. Now, I want to talk about this. This is the big debate I heard about the Hall of Fame induction today. Steve Sir bringing this up. Bray needs to be inducted. Bray Wyatt needs to be inducted in the next inductee in the WWE Hall of Fame. Of course, Bray Wyatt sadly, tragically, and abruptly passing away last year in 2023. People not expecting that. And he was out of action for quite some time. And the circumstances of him passing were quite tragic because he just had such a big return to WWE and only had one televised match, but was so all over the place and connecting with fans across the aisle. I know a lot of casual wrestling fans who only watch now and then, and they're asking me about Bray Wyatt when he's making that big return. And they got people talking about WWE and engaged. And he was a very mythical, modern, standout character who got an endorsement from people. Multi-generational superstar, did a lot of great things in and out of WWE, and certainly lost too soon. That goes without it. Now, the issue with inducting him when he's someone who's passed, and they've had this before, they had this with Macho Man, is who accepts it? How do you present it? Because they're not there to accept the honor. And how do you still make it a wonderful tribute? Because it really is a tribute to the person and what they accomplished in their career. With Macho Man, his brother, Lenny Poffo, accepted for him and gave a great speech. But I remember that year, Macho Man was not the final. He was in the main event. It was Kevin Nash was there, and Kevin Nash went on last. And I know a lot of people were upset about that. But my thing is is that fair to Lanny to put him in that position to live up to that hype and that expectation? I don't think so. No. And is it, you know what I mean? I think you open the night with Bray. It's really, really special. And you give his family a lot of time to talk about him and connect with the audience. And so I think Bray does get inducted this year. I really, really do. And now, mind you, maybe they could hold that off. Maybe they hold it off and they treat that like a different thing, a different year. Maybe his family isn't comfortable doing it. That's another thing too, guys. There's a lot of people who've been offered these that say, not right now. I don't want to do it right now. So, and I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth, people saying, Lynn, Bray Wyatt should have definitely been number 1 this year, I also think Paul Heyman had a career. He's still with us. He deserves his flowers. I'm not saying Bray doesn't, but if you tell me you have Paul Heyman giving this incredible speech, I'm for that. I'm not saying Bray Wyatt doesn't deserve it or he's a better choice, Paul Heyman's a better choice, but I think I'll say this is a little bit more controversial. I'm not saying this to disrespect Bray Wyatt at all. Paul Heyman's a better choice to close out a Hall of Fame induction ceremony right now because he can go out there and connect with the fans and weave the thread through his great career, which has so many legends tied to it. And you can have both. Just because you have one and you don't have do you want nothing or do you want both? I think you can get both.
Yeah, I agree. And you brought up a great point there. Maybe the family just isn't quite ready yet, so we can't just go jump in the gun and say, why isn't WWE announcing Bray Wyatt first? There's a lot more probably going on than we know behind the scenes. And I think Paul Heyman is going to do a great job. But I also agree with you that if Bray Wyatt is inducted this year, which I think would be great, I think he definitely deserves it. It would be a good idea to start off the show with him.
Yeah.
And, and that would be respectful to the family too. And, because they're putting a big time position there to close out a WWE Hall of Fame ceremony.
It's a lot of emotions.
Yeah, a lot of emotions going on too.
You know, and I think that's very real, and you should have empathy for that. Like, I think this isn't about exactly putting on a great. It is, to a point, putting on a great show, but putting on a great show for someone's name and their legacy. You know, I saw Rey Mysterio go in, and Rey's still active in WWE, but I love that speech. I thought Conan gave probably one of the best "Here's who I'm inducting" speeches.
Yeah.
And I love that. I thought it was very special to do that in California with so many Latin Americans there was very, very special. He is probably the biggest and most successful Mexican wrestler of all time. So you go to the market, you say, who is the biggest person that came out of that area for the genre? Paul Heyman, Philadelphia. And the guy was already big in WCW, but what he did with ECW out of Philly at the ECW arena and that region, you know, probably the last great, true, legitimate regional promotion, you know, that changed the business on a wide scale, you know, he's it. He's absolutely it. You know, they've done the ECW, you know, get back together reunion things. They did them in TNA. They did 2 of the one night stands. They rebooted ECW, and that was bad. Maybe I'll talk about that. But no matter what, him in Philadelphia means a whole lot. And he's a really forward-thinking guy. Have you ever interviewed him?
I have not had the pleasure of interviewing Paul Heyman.
Pound for pound, maybe the best interview I've ever done in my career.
I believe
the
it.
best.
I believe it.
And he would slide effortlessly in and out of being a character and then into being a promoter and knowing how to provoke a reaction that's purely promotional. And then a super insightful guy, a guy who's literally worked with every big name in the business. He's worked in some way or another with them all. Anyone who's anyone since the early 80s.
True.
Even on the small scale of just being a photographer for somebody, he has worked with them all. This is a guy who, wise man, right? Wise talked his way into the wrestling business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like at a young age, got like a nightclub to do a promotion with Ric Flair. You know what I mean? And like just all of these wild, wild stories with him. And so absolutely deserves. He's one of the best creative minds in wrestling ever.
Oh,
and one of the best talkers. And I'm just really looking forward to it. And to have him, the big name out of Philly, I think makes the most sense. So that's my take.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
Other names that we need to see go in before we wrap up here today. Mark LFC UK saying Brian Pillman might be. His family signed a Legends deal, didn't they? Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman, of course, his son now is going by Lexus King. Brian Pillman Jr. was in AEW for years. Now in WWE NXT. Brian Pillman was an ECW guy. Brian Pillman had a great career, tragically lost his life under some very awful circumstances while he was contracted to WWE. Yeah. The issue with that, and this isn't me saying Brian Pillman doesn't deserve that honor, is WWE clearly, have you seen this, where they don't want to induct more than one person who's passed relatively recently?
Yeah, I have noticed that as well. You know, they like to honor one at a time, which is, I think is fair. You know, it's
if you're putting in 4 or 5 people, you know, you would hope that you can have them there to accept the honor. Now, like I said, that isn't to say he doesn't deserve it. You know,
no, he deserves it.
And there's been other things they did with the WWE Hall of Fame that, like, I'm like, what? They did the Legacy Wing one year where they inducted like all of these golden age stars, huge names, like from the 60s and 70s before you and I were born, that are big names. And if you follow the wrestling business, you understand they're big stars. They didn't get to have inductions. They were just, they're in, you know, you know, and Sean Stasiak, his father, went in, and we have Sean, he's on the Sportskeeda Wrestling channel. And he kind of is like, I found out, the way I found out was like very odd. You know, we didn't get to have like,
really,
you know, so I'm for doing it the right way, you know, and treating it like it's a special thing, and having gravity and class to it, and getting away from the carnyism that wrestling sometimes is associated with. And I want to say this here. What about, here we go, other names, Paul Sayer. What about Rick Martel, Brian Pillman, Bob Holly? Wow, yeah, Sensational Sherry's already in. Lex Luger, Shelton Benjamin, not yet, but one, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko, Taz, one day. So here, we'll talk about those other names you mentioned. Lex Luger's really been in the conversation this year for the Hall
Yeah.
of Fame induction. And he's been open about saying, yeah, I would absolutely love it. And there were some people saying, you signed that Legends deal with WWE. Are you going to show up at AEW's Sting last match because you're Sting's best friend and you're a big part of your career? Sting got him into wrestling. Conrad Thompson went on the record last night. He would know this, saying that he was at the show, but obviously he didn't appear on camera. So he was there to watch, but he didn't appear on camera. Lex going in for sure. Absolutely. Like,
he needs to.
Maybe not the greatest wrestler, but certainly a big character who's over for a very, very long time. Right?
Yeah, big time name. I mean, I just remember watching him as a kid, and he's just always a name that sticks out when you think of professional wrestling. I think of Lex Luger, not the first name that I think of, but when I think of my childhood, he's one of the wrestlers that always pops up in my memory.
Kevin to Kevin here. He goes, TKO, parent company of WWE and UFC. What about Shamrock? Ken Shamrock put out a line of merchandise with WWE a few months ago, and other people were saying like, oh, like they always kind of connect the dots there. And once you see someone who's an old name who hasn't been in WWE, they're in the video game that year, you kind of connect the dots. Yeah. Shamrock, I would think, is a very good conversation. So you're looking at Paul Heyman, Lex Luger, Ken Shamrock, maybe Bray Wyatt. Right? And you want to do a Brian Pillman. That's a big deal. And there's people who haven't brought up names that can be inducted in there. Mark saying, I think women indicate either Victoria, Mickie James, or Jazz. Well, Jazz would be a choice you could pick. She's somebody from ECW who, made a name for herself out of Philadelphia. Mickie James, 100%. Mickie James absolutely 100% deserves that. But another name you're going to bring up there, and I'm going to be a little bit biased. I am friends with Lisa Marie Varon, and I've worked with her through different wrestling events in and out of Chicago over the years. I think the William Regal of women's wrestling, in terms of just a pure mechanic in the ring who made everyone look better because she was in the ring with them and was legitimately not someone to mess with. She has legitimate skills. She could kick your ass if she wanted to. And so when you have somebody like that who also looked like $1 million, talked like $1 million, was happy to go in the ring and be foolish and look weird, and also had one of the most underrated women's matches in WWE history with that hair match at WrestleMania 20, a match where they were not going to be on the card.
Right.
Her and Molly Holly figured out a way to get on the card, and Victoria was a big part of that. I think Victoria getting it would make a whole lot of sense, and deserves it.
Yeah, I agree. I love the comparison there to William Regal. I love it. I mean, I never really put two and two together, but now that you said that, that's a perfect comparison.
Here's another one. Mark, you stand on top of it. What about William Regal?
What about William Regal? I mean, he definitely is deserving.
He's back in the fold with WWE. Did that one appearance on television like a month or so ago, right?
Yeah.
And his son's with the company, Charlie Dempsey. So that would be fun to be able to induct your father, ideally. Yeah. Here we go. I like this one, and I want this one. Steve Sir.
Oh, yeah.
Sportskeeda Wrestling's very own Bill Apter. The Apter Mags, the guy who created wrestling media as we know it outside of wrestling, the over-the-top pictures, the connection and pure fandom that he has expressed. He is such a widely respected person. You have that Warrior Award that you give to people that have made a meaningful contribution to wrestling in some way. Sometimes it's more of a charitable honor. We give this to somebody who's been a part of a charity or one of our community connections, which is very meaningful. And I can see them absolutely going in that direction. But Bill Apter, 100% should be the first media personality
100%
inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm saying it, and I'm not saying he's inducted in multiple Hall of Fames in wrestling.
Yeah.
But I mean, being around him and talking to him is really, really special. Like, when you have a conversation with him, you're having a conversation with someone who has this deep, deep thread. I talk about threading that needle and connecting all these things, a very emotional weight to everything he says when he talks about his experiences with, biggest names in the business. And he's been a part of it while at the same time has joy and reverence for it. He is a man. He's not, I'm not saying people who are older in wrestling are jaded, and some of them get that way. You just get that way, right?
It happens. Yeah.
But yeah, Bill Apter for the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm saying it. 100% deserves it. I want him out there singing. I want him to sing. I want Bill Apter to sing My Way. I want him to do karaoke. I want a bunch of people to be like, "What is going on?" And I want him to go out there and they'll say, "I heard wrestling's fixed." Like I want him to get all of his catchphrases in there. It would be such a special thing.
It would be amazing. It would
Absolutely.
be, and very deserving for sure.
I'll kill a rumor here. Somebody in the comments. It has been rumored that Dean Ambrose is coming back to WWE. Let's imagine night 2, Rock turns on Roman, and then the Bloodline does to Seth saves Roman. Just then Dean's music hits, and he comes down. The Shield takes out the Bloodline. Cody, everyone. Night 2 ends with the Shield.
Oh goodness.
Is that happening? Can you confirm it? Can you confirm my fantasy booking?
I can't. I'm going to say that's not happening.
That's not happening?
That's not happening.
Why do you have to kill all the fun?
I'm not trying to kill the fun. I'm just
we've been going a while. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you watch a little bit? Did you watch the whole thing? Well, if you're just joining now, watch the whole thing. That really helps. Watch time is really, really helpful. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Those are free. You don't have like a limited amount of these that you give out every day. You hit those. All right. Follow Sportskeeda on whatever app you're on. We're on the apps. Okay. We're not on Tinder, but if we were, we hope you would swipe right. All right. So follow us on those. A lot of different things going on with this and the roads to WrestleMania. Okay. So go ahead and check those out. These are people asking, when do we go live? We tend to go live Monday afternoons, every Monday. All right. So thank you for asking. I love the new people commenting. Good show. Thank you so much. I appreciate it as well. People saying off topic. Are they going to make Breaker a face on SmackDown or a heel? I don't know. I think Braun Breaker is the wide open. Made a great impression at the Royal Rumble and certainly got a big reaction, but I can see him being a bigger deal after WrestleMania. Just me. I think things are set there. So we go live every Monday afternoon. Make sure your notifications are on so you know exactly when we go live. Nick, if they want to follow you on the things, where are the things they can follow you on?
They can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I changed my handle now. It's Nick_Harkson.
That messed me up last week when I was trying to tag you. And
I'm sorry.
I couldn't find my boy.
I was trying to keep it all the same now. I'm trying to keep it all the same.
I was searching Nick Harkson Sacramento. And it took a while to pop up.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, it's Nick_Harkson. That's Harksen if you don't know how to spell my last name.
There you go. For everything WrestleMania, once again, we're going to have it on the channel. A lot going on. You can hear me on a bunch of different videos that are on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Over 106,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Just dropped a very, very cool video remembering CM Punk's over-year-long championship reign, which was a big deal 10 years ago. You can check that out. That's up right now. Also looking back at the career of Sting. So those videos are there. You can hear Nick on the YouTube Shorts for us as well. So a lot of stuff. If you like me, you like Nick, go ahead and follow that stuff. I'm also busy with Roast Battle Chicago. Roast Battle Chicago right there.
Nice.
Going to be busy with them. I'll hold it up for the QR code if that works. I don't know if that'll work or not.
Looks clear.
And here, I'll hold it up the whole time. There we go. We're real busy. We're going to be doing 4 Thursdays in a row at the world famous Zany's Comedy Club. Coming up this Thursday, we'll start our tournament. We're entering the Sweet 16. And you can watch all of that on our YouTube channel. We also have a Patreon with the uncut versions of those shows where comedians insult each other for sport. Did you like this? I enjoyed it. Hit the like button. We'll see you. Remember, next Monday, we'll be here again. And check out all this stuff. And remember, even if your fantasy booking doesn't fulfill itself, take a deep breath. Sigh. Get your mom to make a new plate of pizza rolls, okay? You'll be all right. And just remember to enjoy what, Nicholas?
Wrestling.
Enjoy it.